or what? As you know, hurricanes are a dangerous storm that involve the wind, rain, flooding, and much more. The first hurricane on record is dated to be believed that it had happened in 1494 by Christopher Columbus on one of his first voyages across the Atlantic. Although this may be false because information about hurricanes prior to 1900 is limited due to limitations in weather observation technology. These hurricanes have so many factors, starting with rain. Your average U.S. hurricane can have about 16 inches of rain. Hurricanes can also spawn tornadoes, which cause its own level of destruction and danger. And then storm surge, which is flooding coming in from the sea caused by hurricanes, which we will dive more into later. Then hurricanes have 5 different categories which can help determine its wind speed and movement speed. Hurricanes are categorized by sustained wind speed using the Saffir-Simpson Hurricane Wind Scale. A Category 1 hurricane can reach up to 95 miles per hour. A Category 2 hurricane can reach speeds up to 110 miles per hour. Category 3 hurricanes get as fast as 129 miles per hour. Category 4 hurricanes go up to 156 miles per hour. And then there are Category 5 hurricanes going from 157 miles per hour or higher. Wind speeds got so fast it knocked over this entire train. As you can see, multiple vehicles were flipped over. But again, storm surge is one people fear the most because of the water, the amount, and how it destroys everything. Since 1980, U.S. billion-dollar weather and climate disasters, including hurricanes, basically all hurricanes, have caused an average cost of $23 billion per event. With all this destruction you see, it takes a lot of money, but it also takes a lot of time. The average hurricane cleanup can take up to 14 months, but if damage is so bad, it could take years. And the damage can completely destroy cities.
Hey, David. So, my name is Marcy Forbes. I'm a licensed engineer and I currently work for the city of Madeira Beach. I'm their community development engineer. And part of my job is permit and plan review, working with the city to make sure that we are compliant both with FEMA and the Florida Building Code for projects and throughout the city, infrastructure wide. And obviously, one of the main focuses this last year was the Hurricane 2024 season, which impacted most all the barrier islands or all the barrier islands within Pinellas County. We had 3 named storms. We had Debbie in August, we had Helene in September, and we had Milton in October. So it was a very active one. The one that impacted the barrier islands the most was obviously Helene. That storm came in approximately 100 miles off the coast of Pinellas. So if that gives you any idea of the impact a storm that the eye is that far off the coast can have on a community, it definitely showed us. So with Pinellas County and the way we're positioned, when storms pass to the north of us, typically the damage that we get is the flood surge. If you can imagine you're standing at the beach looking at the water, the top of that water is, for the sake of this conversation, let's say it's 0 elevation. We run studies and create maps to show us if at any given point we have a 100-year storm event, how high that water can go. And it can go upwards of 11 feet. What Pinellas County Barrier Island saw was approximately 7 to 8 feet of water over land throughout the communities, which is a devastating amount of water to get. With the storm surge, as it enters the home, so you have the obvious flooding damage that occurs, but once the floodwaters rush into homes, it also picks up furniture, appliances, and throws them around the house. It also does what I showed you, is it picks up cars that are left behind in driveways or parking structures. It will move them. So as I showed you in that picture, there is a car that was actually lodged was lifted up and lodged in the garage parking area. So the storms are very powerful, and they're definitely not something to be taken lightly. A matter of point of how strong storms are is Johns Pass at Madeira Beach was actually created by a hurricane that came through, I believe, in the late 1800s, sometime around there, or early 1900s. So obviously that had to be a very powerful storm to create that level, to create that pass. So Mother Nature kind of does what she wants when she wants. Also, it creates a significant amount of residential debris. So homes that are at grade suffer the worst. So typically they have to remove their drywall, the flooring, and that becomes very expensive, but it also creates a lot of debris. For our community, we had to haul off 140,000 cubic yards of debris. And to put that into perspective, that's about 875 school buses filled with debris. So that's a lot of debris that has to get taken to landfills. We also had a significant amount of sand covering the entirety of Gulf Boulevard. That sand has to be picked up, put into dump trucks, and taken off the island. Because it's contaminated, because our roads contain oil, gas, that sand cannot be put right back on the beach, so it leaves. So those are some of the impacts that we have with that. Also, what you saw was homeowners weren't able to get back on the island to get to their homes. With the storm comes down power lines. All the water that covers the island is contaminated because you end up with sewage, fertilizers, everything you have in your garage, multiply it times 1,700 homes, and you have that much fertilizer floating around, that much pesticides and things like that. So the water is very damaging, not just because it's water, but also because it's contaminated. So it impacts your electrical. During this time, people spend months not being able to get back in their home. They have to rent hotels. A lot of them don't have the money to do that. So there is assistance to help support those, but it is a monumental impact on the community that we are to this day still recovering from. All of Pinellas County was impacted, and all of Pinellas County is still recovering. So with that, moving into this hurricane season that's about to start, I know that it's very important that we take this seriously, that we consider, evacuating when we need to, getting off the islands, securing your property, but life safety is the most important part during storms. So with that, we have hurricane season starting in June 1st, so everybody get ready.